Hey, good evening. Kathy Beatty here with Divorce Support Anonymous. Facebook Live. It's Friday night, 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Wanting to come into your life to, hey, tonight keep you company. Maybe there's nothing going on for you today and times get a little lonely. I know that that's true, and that's actually our topic tonight, is talking about isolation and what we can do to help ourselves, because isolation really is detrimental to our health. So we have to put up some precautions and we have to take proactive steps. We will talk about that. First, I want to talk about a couple of announcements. February 10th, the next support group begins virtually. So no matter where you're at in the country, 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. You may say, what, 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time? Isn't that kind of late? It is. And the reason we do that is so you can put your babies to bed and you can get the support that you need, moms and dads. And we come together as a collective group, and if we decide another time works better, we'll change it. But that's on a Wednesday evening. My Wednesdays for the next 10 weeks are reserved starting February 10th. So we can get another support group going to be able to be with you and to get you through this process of divorce. So you're welcome, of course, to ask questions, comments, text, phone if it's a question as well. We can do that. I've got my phone right here. So let's talk about isolation. I know that loneliness is something that all of us struggle with as we go through divorce. We are lonely for a person, not only a person, but we're lonely for the routine that we once had, that relief when we got home and we were able to talk with someone and communicate what went on with our day. That we miss that. Now, I realize there was probably a lot of hostility and friction during the last maybe several years in your relationship. So even though going home and being with that person may not have given you peace, at least it gave you some connection with another human being. And there were good times, I'm sure, maybe a lot of rocky times toward the end, but there was that person there, someone that you could connect with, and that person is no longer there. So keep in mind, I may miss the person, but I may also miss the routine. So I need to be aware of that. So perhaps I can make some changes in my daily routine and in my thought processes to help me not be so lonely. This is a lonely time for many reasons, of course, with COVID, of course, with the divorce. So we do have to have intention and plan on connecting with someone. Are you using Zoom? Maybe you need to take a class to learn how to use Zoom better so you can have Zoom calls with people. You can have group Zoom calls. And maybe other people are just as lonely as you are and they're waiting for someone to reach out and connect with them. You could be that person. You could be that person. So I am a little concerned for you tonight. In that you may be withdrawing, you may be isolating. I know you may be lonely. That comes with the territory of divorce. But how are you responding to that loneliness? Are you withdrawing? Are you isolating yourself? Isolating yourself is not healthy. Our brain is wired, our bodies are wired, created to connect with other people. We need that connection. So I want to challenge you to do something this weekend to reach out to someone, to some friend, a long lost schoolmate, maybe that person in the back of your mind that you've wondered about. I wonder how they're doing. Keep it same sex though, realizing that you're very vulnerable right now, and that loneliness can lead you into the wrong direction and the wrong relationship before you're ready. And if you're familiar with my work at all, my books, I always encourage people, work on you first. Do not think the answer to your life is that next relationship, because you're not healed and you're not ready. So if you connect with someone, make sure it is a safe someone and someone of the same sex. So what will you do proactively to reach out to connect with someone else, a friend? Maybe in the state that you're in, you can meet for coffee. Here in Michigan, not so easy. We're starting to open up a little bit, but it's not as easy as going to restaurants. So even within your limited abilities, there is opportunity for you to reach out. So I want to encourage you and challenge you this weekend to reach out, to be proactive, to make that connection, realizing this is for your mental health. You need that connection. And I know how very lonely it can be. But chances are no one's coming to your door to provide a life for you, and it is up to you. And you may say, I just don't feel like it. I want to pull the covers over my head and stay there. Well, you can do that for a little while. But eventually you're going to have to come out. You're going to have to reach out. You're going to have to connect with people. So I posted something on Facebook earlier today, actually, about the happiness chemicals in our brain. And it's actually a life hack on how to create those chemicals, those happiness chemicals in our brain without being in a relationship. So we can hack, we can create those chemicals in our brain, and we can help ourselves get out of the slump, the isolation, and the loneliness that we feel. One of them is dopamine, and that's a chemical in your brain that you feel as a reward when you do something well. That's one of the brains, and it's a fascinating science. You could spend years studying the brain and how God designed it and how it works. But dopamine is the reward chemical. So how can you do the hack? How can you help yourself with this chemical to create this chemical? One of the ways is to complete a task, to finish something that you've started. That gives us that sensation of reward. Our chemicals release this brain, and we feel a little better. Self-care, eating a good meal, celebrating small wins or small successes. That's one way in which we can reward and get our brain moving and get those brain happiness chemicals going. Oxytocin, the love hormone. Okay, with this one, what are we going to do? Well, we still have that ability within our brain, and we can stimulate that hormone and that chemical by playing with our dog, hugging on a dog, if you have a dog. If you don't, you might want to consider getting one. They're incredible company right now if you have the lifestyle that would be conducive to having a dog. So hugging a family member. And here's one, paying a compliment. If you are paying a compliment to someone in the store, the other day I paid a compliment to this woman who is a cashier there, and every time I go in, she's just cheery, bouncy, always makes people feel good, and I gave her that compliment. And she truly appreciated it, but it made me feel good. It made me feel good to give that compliment. So that is one way in which we can boost that love hormone in our mind. chemicals in our brain. So serotonin, the mood stabilizer. Now, here's one. We need our mood stabilized, right? If you're prone to the ups and downs, the loneliness, the depression, what can we do for this? Well, we can run, we can exercise, we can walk outside, walk quickly, get in the sunshine. It's a little difficult here in Michigan in January. However, we did have some sun today, but it's chilly. But even if you're in a window with the sun, that can help. Swimming, activities, exercising. We can boost that mood stabilizer so we can help ourselves in this isolation. The next one is endorphins, the painkiller, the hormone that allows our body to kill pain. How can we increase that chemical in our brain? We can laugh, we can watch a comedy, we can do some exercising. Again, walking, running, exercising changes the chemicals in our brain. And I know it sounds so simple to say, just go walk around the block. And yet, when you just walk around the block, you feel yourself feeling better. So, encourage you to do all of those things. You know, the scripture tells us in Romans 12:2, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. We have the capability of renewing our mind. Now, I'm not sure the Romans was really talking about our happiness chemicals or our brain, but it could have been. That's part of it. We are body, soul, spirit, right? It's all connected. So the full verse is, don't be conformed to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. So the pattern of this world for you may be withdrawing and isolation. That pattern needs to change. No one's going to change it except for you. So be transformed. Start changing and moving those chemicals, those hormones in your brain, the happiness chemicals, so we can help ourselves feel better during this very dark and lonely time. I didn't mention to you March 18th, so I want to throw in, before we conclude today, this activity, this event. I'm very excited about it. I'm hosting an event called How Not to Screw Up Your Kids During Divorce. Many of us have a heart for our kids, and we want them so much to be the best parents, and yet we're going through this trauma, and we're at our wits' end, literally at our mind's end. And so this seminar is going to be March 18th. It will be simulcast, so you can watch it anywhere in the world. It will be live here in Ada. My church is Keystone Community Church, Ada, Michigan, outside of Grand Rapids. It's going to be live, and I recorded all of these fabulous interviews with child specialists like Dr. Kathy Cook, who wrote 5 to Thrive and Celebrate Kids. That's her organization, Celebrate Kids. And Dr. Lila, I'm blanking on her last name. Oh, my word. Ragula. Oh, forgive me, Dr. Lila. I'll change it. I'll say it 100 times right on the next one. But she is a child specialist, and she's going to speak to us about trauma in the brain. She travels all over the world, and she has some phenomenal information to share. Leslie Vernick is going to come on and speak to us about how we need to take care of ourselves to be healthy before we can be a healthy parent. And there'll be other experts on this seminar as well. So mark your calendar, March 18th. More news is coming. It's going to begin 6 o'clock in the evening, go for 3 hours. You're going to sit 3 hours? You probably will, because the time's going to fly as we have these different experts and we talk about how we can help and not harm our kids as we go through divorce. Okay, so I'll throw that little announcement on the end there, and just make sure you know more news is coming. So I want to encourage you to get out there, to make connection with people. We need people. We were created for community. That's the way God wired us. We need that connection with other people. Do not isolate right now. Do not isolate. Even if it's one small gesture of going out and making that compliment to the store clerk, get yourself out, moving, change those happiness chemicals in your brain. They're asleep right now, probably, and they need a little shuffling and waking up. And you'll be surprised how much better you feel. Connect with me. I'll see you next Friday night, if not before. I thank you for being with us, and connect with me if I can be of help. Talk to you soon.